I can't make her weak just yet, so you got about 25 seconds for that one.
Don't feel this works.
She's on. That's big top.
Oh,
yeah. We're gonna test it. We're really
about
gonna
to
test
see.
it.
We about to see. Cause that's a fuck on stickies. There it goes.
Bye!
What's up everybody, Wins here with an endgame effects, no reload, Torgue sticky build. This build centers around having a Vladoff SMG or an AR with a Torgue licensed stickies. I've got the skill trees posted at the end of this video if you'd like to skip ahead in the chapters or stick around to find out how it works. Alright, our first 5 points are going to go into Volatile Essence. This is just increasing our splash damage by 20%, but then once our action skill is active, which I'll tell you in the techniques or how to do this, is going to be a 40% increase because we're going to have the action skill always active. Next, I've got 3 points in Leeching Attunement. It shows 5 because I've got 2 from the class mod, and this just gives us lifesteal for when we're going into the boss fights and just getting there. Our next 5 are going to go into Bloodletter, and then I've got another 2 from the class mod. The gun and skill critical hits have a chance to apply bleed, causing kinetic status effect. So all of those stickies that get in there as we're firing have a chance to cause bleed damage. So even if it doesn't kill them on the initial explosives, the bleed damage is going to do a little bit extra. It's got a 50% chance having this with 7 points, and then damage is going to be 42% of gun damage per second, up to max stacks 20 stacks. The next 5 and then 1 from class mod is going into material components. This increases our kinetic damage and our kinetic status effect damage by 42% and 24% respectively. Our next 5 are going into Keen Mind. This increases our scale damage by 15, or scale damage crit chance by 15%. The only reason I'm using this is to get down to the next one, which is Phase Pocket. I was using Drink Full. The problem I was running into was that I would run out of ammo in my magazine on my sticky weapon before I could get my Eldritch Blast charge back in hand. So mitigating that, I got rid of Drink Full. I have 2 from the class mod, but we're going to go with 5 on Keen Mind. My next 3 points are going into Phase Pocket, which increases your magazine size, and it's double when action skill is active. Now, if you have a Vladoff weapon that comes stock with 80 rounds, you could be fine with this without this and be able to put them in other places. But mine starts at 33 base, so then I get an extra 30% plus the enhancement 20% and 50% enhancement as well. And then this gives me an extra 60% once my action skill is active. So I'm going from 33 rounds base magazine size in my Torgue weapon to now I have 75 rounds when the gun is fully loaded and my action skill is active. These next 8 points are going to go hand in hand together. So the first 5 are going to go into conjunction. So you gain gun damage based on your shield health. And then when your shield's full, you have 30% damage. And then the next 3 are going to go into Restorative Tonic. So this is going to go into how we use this. When we start the fight, we'll have a rotation of hitting our rep kit, hitting our action skill, and then begin shooting while spamming our action skill to refill the ammo. So Restorative Tonic, just using a rep kit, gains shield restoration over time, and that's 12% per second. Alright, the main component of this build, we're going to use the Incarnate action skill, but the main piece is this augment, which is Witchy Trigger Figure. Dealing damage with Eldritch Blast or Phased Explosion will fully refill your ammo, and that's the key point. It also gives a bonus of 15% gun damage up to max 3 stacks, so that'd be a 45% gun damage boost while action skill is active and for 15 seconds afterwards. And then additionally, we're going to use this primarily as our means of reloading our Torgue stickies, so they all will detonate at once towards the end of the action skill as opposed to every time it reloads, which gives you that insane boss killing capability. Next 5 are just going to go into Cold Iron. It gives us a bonus damage of 15% to our gun damage. And then our last one in the blue tree is going to be Portents of Suffering, so we'll gain 35% status effect damage. This is just going to help because we're using the Bloodletter kinetic status effect damage over time. And then by putting 5 into Portents of Suffering, we'll just gain an extra 35% status effect damage on that bleed damage. Our last 5 points that we're going to use are going into enchantment, gaining bonus kinetic damage to our guns while action skill is active. That's a huge boost of 37.5%. And then the Torgue stickies scale off of gun damage, so this is a major boost to our damage overall. My primary weapon that I'm using is the Rusted People's Kazon. I got this from the Bend of the Line side mission. I waited till 50 to pick it up. The key point here is that it's a Vladoff, which generally has a higher magazine size, and then the Torgue licensed sticky mags, which is what we're using to do all the damage. Currently, even though this one only has a 33 round magazine, when I use my skill that I've got here, phase pocket, to increase the mag size, and then my enhancement, which I'll show here in a second, increases mag size, that's where we're going to end up with. I've got 66 normally, and then once I hit my action skill, so it's doubled for the skill, it's 75 in the magazine. And so once you hit that action skill the very first time, you're constantly going through 75 rounds and reloading every time you hit Eldritch Blast, and that's what's going to end up doing the most damage at the end. The next piece you want is this rep kit. You want any of them have power cycle that instantly starts recharging your shield. The reason you want to do this is, one, because at the very beginning of the fight we're going to use in sequence our rep kit followed by our action skill, and then start shooting our weapon as well as using Eldritch Blast. This having power cycle just helps keep our shield boosted, while also having using a rep kit is gaining our shield restoration from restorative tonic, and all this goes into conjunction, which is gaining 30% bonus gun damage at full shield. So that's why we're using this at the very beginning, and that's why that's an important piece of the build. Next piece of the puzzle here is the Escalating Scion Siren class mod. You can see I've got an extra 35% kinetic damage and 17% fire rate. That's going to give me an extra points into Leeching Attunement, which I don't necessarily need, which is just lifesteal, but the 2 points into kinetic status effect damage, or the bleed damage, is huge, and then gives me an extra bonus to my kinetic damage and kinetic status effect again, and then additionally 2 in a drink full. And I think this class mod is the reason I didn't put any points in a drink full to begin with, because I would have had 7 total points here. I would have had an additional 20% from my weapon enhancement, an additional 17% from my class mod, and I was just running out of ammo too quickly before my Eldritch Blast could regen. So I went ahead and put those 5 points into Keen Mind in order to mitigate that fact and be able to reload my weapon using Eldritch Blast, my augment here, Witchy Trigger Finger, and instead of having it reload via itself. The last piece I'm using is this Vladoff enhancement. It's got a 20% fire rate, 20% magazine size, 50% splash radius, and 50% gun magazine size. The big ones are the magazine size on this one, just because of the fact that I have a 33 round magazine, but now I've been able to boost that by double. And then you want to be able to have that larger magazine size in order to continuously shoot to generate Eldritch Blast without having to manually reload. You want your Eldritch Blast to be the one that reloads the weapon for you, so that way all the stickies trigger at once at the end of the action skill. Alright, I'm going to show you the full rotation here. You're going to use your rep kit because you want to instantly start charging your shields. Use your action skill to get Eldritch Blast working. Start shooting with your weapon. Use Eldritch Blast to automatically refill. And you can see here's your rep kit, followed by action skill. Start shooting, use Eldritch Blast to refill the magazine. Make sure you're hitting with your Eldritch Blast a portion of the body if there's any immune spots that can be damaged, or else it won't automatically refill like you saw there. But he took enough damage and enough stickies for it not to matter. The hardest part about building this is going to be finding those Vladoff weapons with Torgue stickies. Don't be afraid or discouraged if you find lower rarities. I've tried this concept first with lower rarity weapons. It worked fine. It wasn't going to do the same as what I had here on screen, but that's because the guns I was trying with were pistols or shotguns in general, just didn't have the mag size. But let me know down below what weapons you find to make this work, and subscribe for more builds. See ya!